Hello everyone, it's Helen at Journaling Planet. Did you know you don't need somebody else to buy you Valentine's chocolate and candy? Did you know you could go into a shop, buy it yourself, eat it yourself, and then use the box to create gorgeous Valentine's ephemera for your journal? Did you know that they started selling Valentine's chocolate and candy in January because of consumerism? So over that length of time, you can get a real collection going without having to eat a million candies in one day, even though that sounds like a lot of fun to me. So that's what I've done this year. And I'm going to be using the boxes that I've collected and a couple of other pieces of packaging in creating some ephemera for my journal today. I'm going to keep things fairly minimal, so you'll be able to hopefully find something that's equivalent in your stash. And the idea is to really let the packaging take centre stage. So very minor adjustments. First things first, when I get a box, is I need to cut it down and look at what pieces I think are sort of usable as ephemera. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'll speed it up. Okay, let's see what we've got here. I think this really is the only piece where I'm like, I think I'm very sorry, but I wasn't very careful when I opened this box, and I think this one has to go in the recycling. I do see people use things like this on snippet rolls, if that's your jam. Very easy to splash paint across here, ink, stamp, etc. And now that I'm saying this, can I throw this away? Should I just hold on to it for a little while? Maybe I'll jazz this up, cut it up and put it in my scraps box. You know, it just seems a shame. But everything else is usable as far as I'm concerned. These bits I'm not going to make an ephemera out of, but I am going to use them for tabs. Maybe on some of this ephemera, maybe on some other projects. I keep a little stash of them. It's a really good way of using up the ends of food packaging that most other people would think, well, I'll have to throw that away. No, you can use them for tabs. So then let's look at this. I'm not going to do every single piece of every single box because we will be here all year. I've eaten a substantial amount of Valentine's candy since January, and I feel pretty good about it. So let's see. I think we'll work with some of the less obvious things. Folks, I think you know what you could do with this. You know, you put a little sticker or something over here, you round the corners, you ink it up, you've got a journaling card, you cover the back if you want to. I mean, that's not rocket science, okay? Let's just put that to one side. Again, this, I'm going to just round the corners of this, and I will do this off camera before the end of the video. Round the corners of it and make a little, tag, because it's very cute. Why wouldn't you? Similarly, these are very good for belly bands. I'll just round the corners and ink around, and we've got some belly bands there. We've got some cute jelly dogs, Frankie, Dougal, and Curly there. And Maggie, Costas, and Walter. Very, very cute. I think these are the bits where you just sort of think, oh, I'll just throw this away. But actually, I've been thinking a lot about nutritional values, hilariously, whilst eating chocolate, and how they might be quite good as a background for journaling cards. This one, again, most people might throw this away, but I can see a heart pattern here. So I think there's scope to just cover this little bit here and create a little tag out of it. So that's what I'm going to do for this one. I do have some other boxes that I'm going to work with as well. Let's see what I can make out of these two. I'm going to start with the nutritional values. So the first thing that I'm thinking is that I want to mute down some of the less aesthetically pleasing places on this. And I could get in with my gesso, but I'd be here all year with it drying. So I'm just going to put down a couple of layers of masking tape over the areas that are a little bit more commercial, perhaps, you know, aren't going to be as aesthetically pleasing as, say, the black writing on the pink. So I'm just going to mask tape over this corner. Masking tape will add another texture, especially when I don't press it down correctly. That's definitely going to create more texture. So you could do that with any kind of tape. It does not have to be masking tape. I just decided to keep this very minimal. Remember, I want people to be able to kind of emulate it as much as they can. So the next thing I'm going to go to is I've got this chunk of fussy cuts from an old gardening catalogue. So this is reclaimed materials here. And I was thinking, you know, Valentine's Day, flowers tend to go together quite nicely. And that I might just experiment with dotting around some of these, auditioning some of them, see how they look, and then glue them down around the corners and ink round for a journaling card. So I'm just going to experiment with a few combinations, see how they look, and then I will show you the finished product after I'm done. Okay, folks, I really don't think this is bad going for a piece of cardboard that had nutritional values on it. So these are all, as I said, cut out of an old gardening catalogue. I was rooting around for some purple stamps. This is the closest I had in my collection. If you don't have stamps, vintage stamps, there are about 10 million gajillion YouTube videos from crafters showing you how to make faux postage stamps with your craft stash. And I even made a video where I showed you how to make giant faux postal stamps to use as journaling cards, which I'll link to down below, because you could use the same technique in miniature to make your own faux postage stamps. I then just inked around the corners, and I did add this as a tab, and I just decided, I've been cutting into this old doily for ages in my craft projects. I think I got it for about 50 pence at a thrift store. And so every single item on here is reclaimed material, and it would be perfect for use as a journaling card. So I really do think that we shouldn't discount things like the nutritional values on the back of boxes. They can be used a bit like how we use book page, and it's just another way to upcycle. The other piece I picked out from this box is this piece here, which has got this kind of best before date and a kind of bit of tarnishing here. So I'm going to see what I can put on here, because it's got this lovely heart motif. It seems a shame to just throw it away and not use it. So let me see how I can neaten this up and create a little tag, I think, from this piece of card. This is adorable. And I just used this piece of, I don't know, it's kind of trim, I guess. I got it for £1.50, reduced from £2 from the thrift store. That is a lot of tag topper for £1.50. That's going to last me many times. I'm in love with it. It's kind of like Molly Ringwald in Pretty in Pink kind of vibes. So I'm in love with that. And just stapled a little bit of this trim to the top of this tag. One flower cut out of a magazine, I mean, years ago, when I was going to throw the magazine away, and I finally found a use for it with the topper and a bit of masking tape, and that is my little tag. I think it's adorable. I'll keep saying that. I do really think it's adorable. So those are the two from the first box. So one of the other boxes I got, this piece I think is a no-brainer. You would turn the card this way so you don't cut off the lovely doggy's head when you make your tag. You could make a journaling card out of this, of course. I just like long things to make tags because I'm obsessed with tags. But I would cut the corners here, put a topper up here, maybe around these corners. That would be it. That would be my tag, because come on, it's really easy. Again, I will do that before the end of the video and show you what I've done, but I mean, I think that's straightforward. Little pieces like this, which are like the end of the boxes, I've already taken the liberty of rounding the corners, of this one. But I really think that it's sort of easy to just put a little topper on it and make a sort of mini tag that would pull out of a pocket, and maybe you'd have a little sentiment or a little stamp on the back of here. So again, I think these are actually quite straightforward. When the front is pretty, I think it's quite easy to think, oh yeah, I know what I would do with that. These I will save for belly bands, and I will use them just as they are. I probably won't, maybe I'll add a little bit of trim, like staple a bit of trim before I glue it down. But other than that, I really want to keep the packaging center stage in the true spirit of junk journaling. So then we're left with this nutritional box again. So I'm going to do another one of these. And this time I'm probably going to look to my fussy cuts from book pages. Again, I'm going to go with botanicals because they are Valentine's related. But you could really do anything you wanted. And possibly on this time I'm going to do a bit of stamping in the background, just to give it a little bit of a different look from the other piece that I did earlier. So I'm going to try with my stamps and see how that looks on the nutritional values, and I'll show you at the end. Okay, again, I think you'd be hard pushed to realise, at first glance that this was just a piece of nutritional information on the back of a candy box. I think this has come out really beautifully, and I'm looking forward to adding it to my journal. I just used a piece of book page that I'd fussy cut some flowers out of. You saw me stamp on the background, and then I added the leftover pieces of fabric from the last journaling card and a little tab at the top, just stapled it on the right hand side. So far we have these lovely 3 pieces, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause the video and do the very easy, what I call the no-brainer pieces that I showed you before, and I'll go around those, I'll ink them, I'll put a topper on them, and I'll show you the collection as a whole so you can see the potential for things like this. Please, if you get anything like this, if you're lucky enough to get bought it or you buy it yourself, please don't throw away the wrapping, because it's very, very useful. Okay, first let's just go over the things that I said were sort of no-brainers. This, I just rounded the corners, inked around. I put a little bit of masking tape here where there'd been a tear, and stapled a piece of the doily. I used one of the offcuts from the edges as a tab, and then I stapled just a little bit of reclaimed trim. So this whole piece of ephemera is completely reclaimed materials, and it's insanely cute. I really can't wait to get this in my journal. Remember I said about this tiny little piece that could just have the corners rounded, a little bit of trim stapled to the top, bit of ink around, and then on the back a little sentiment could be written. It's a lovely little surprise in a pocket. This one was tea and teacup shaped chocolate. That was particularly tasty, and I just cut the tag shape, inked around. I coloured in a hole reinforcer, one of these little white things. I just coloured one of those in with a Sharpie. If you think that's mind-blowing, Natasha over on Treasure Books is colouring in staples. My mind was blown by that one, I can tell you. So yes, colouring in, the hole reinforcers to the palette I want with a Sharpie. This piece of twine came from a pen pal in a little Galentine's, kind of sending out Valentines to your girlfriends package. And so I reused the little piece of twine at the top as a topper, and that's a nice oversized piece of ephemera for my journal. And then the other one that was sort of a no-brainer was this one. I just stapled a little piece of trim. I did actually cut a tag shape, but you can't tell, so that was a little bit of a learning teachable moment for me, that if you want the tag shape to show, don't cut the trim too wide. But I think it still works. It's a lovely piece of ephemera. Just haven't actually rounded the corners on this one. I think I will just do that now. There we go. And then that just finishes it off nicely. So that's all the sort of no-brainer ones. And then just as a refresher, we used our nutritional values backing and some reclaimed items for this one. And I think these two are actually my favourites of the bunch. It's not very nice to pick favourites, but they just are. Nutritional values with stamping and some book page and lace, and the very edge of a box that you might throw away with a little heart motif on it, bit of masking tape, flower cut out of a magazine, and a piece of trim at the top. I really can't wait to get these into my journals. Last thing before I let you go, those of you who are still with me, well, all I can say is wow, well done. Sometimes in the chocolate boxes you get materials like this that are like bubble wrap for chocolates, like in case the chocolate would get damaged. And again, I know a lot of people would throw this out, but I just tried cutting it into a tag shape. It's got this amazing texture, and just put a few of my fussy cuts and a piece of lace on top, and I've got a really cute tag. I could also, and I'm going to back it with some paper so it can be written on, because otherwise it is just aesthetic, which is nothing wrong with that if you just want something that looks pretty in your journal. There's nothing wrong with that, but I actually do like to use these things as places to write, so I'm probably going to cover the back of this with some paper and use it as a journaling spot. Okay, that is everything I have to show you today. I'm probably going to play around a little bit more in my craft room with the odds and ends that I didn't make anything with in the video, but I hope it's inspiring to you. I hope particularly the nutritional values stuff shows you. I mean, you could do that with any food packaging. It doesn't have to be Valentine's Day, kind of candy or chocolate. It can be any food packaging that you have. Don't discount that backing with all that print on it. It is very useful. What do you think of this project? Has it inspired anything for you? Do let me know in the comments. And thank you so much for watching this far. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.